Welcome to Tiara Tuesday with Princess Gigglebottom.
Hi friends, Princess Gigglebottom here with the next episode of Tiara Tuesday. Bing! Where you don't have to be royal, but you gotta be real. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the royal shenanigans. Well, it's finally here, the kickoff episode of The Mind Makeover. And speaking of makeovers, how do you like my hair? Leave me some comments below and let me know your thoughts. So on today's episode of Tiara Tuesday, we're going to be learning about our beautiful brains. And I'm going to illustrate that using a model called the hand model, which was invented by Dr. Dan Siegel. It's just a really easy way for you to learn some of the anatomy of the brain that's directly related to our emotions, because the more we know about our brain and how it works, the easier it is to understand our emotions and our emotional responses. So if this is my brain, then just to give you some points of reference, the knuckles here would be where your eyes are, and the back of your hand is the back of your brain, and your wrist is your spinal cord. Okay, so if we open up our hand, the palm of your hand is the reptilian brain. This is what we call your early brain and probably the first part of the nervous system that developed. If you fold over your thumb, this represents the limbic area of the brain. And most importantly, this is where the amygdala lives. So the amygdala and the limbic area of the brain is responsible for your emotional responses, your feelings. That's where all those emotions live. If you fold your fingers over, then this part where your knuckles are is what we call the frontal cortex. This is called the smart part of your brain. This is where logic lives, critical thinking, facts, that all is right here in the frontal cortex. So now what happens is when you begin to feel anxiety, either by something that has triggered you or stimulated you, and you get upset, this limbic area of your brain, or the amygdala, fires. Okay. And then what happens is the stimulus happens again, and it fires and it fires and it fires until finally you blow your top, flip your lid, your tiara gets twisted, and now the smart part of your brain, where logic lives, is no longer running the show. The emotional part, the amygdala in that limbic area, is now in charge of things. So Dr. Siegel calls this frontal cortex, he calls that your upstairs brain, where your logic and facts live. And this is usually your master controller. He calls the limbic area and amygdala your downstairs brain, where emotions live. So let's try that one more time. So typically, your frontal cortex is in charge, and this is where you're grounded and you're coming from a place of facts and knowledge and logic. But then a stimulus comes in, and a trigger, and it begins to make you feel anxious, and your emotional part of your brain, amygdala, fires, and it keeps happening. So it fires again, it fires again, it fires again, until eventually you flip your lid, blow your top, your tiara gets twisted, and then you're running on emotions. So I hope that this episode of Tiara Tuesday and the beginning of the Mind Makeover provided you a good explanation of just some of the basic anatomy of the brain and where those different parts and different feelings and logic and where those all live in our brain. So on next week's episode of Tiara Tuesday, we're going to be learning about tips and tricks to help control those emotions, to keep you from getting your tiara twisted. So however, in the meantime, when in doubt, dance it out. because life is short. So don't forget to giggle. Giggle with me. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week on Tiara Tuesday. Mwah!